First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Good evening and welcome to First at 5 from WUFT News. I'm Emily Palazzotto.
And I'm Loren Miranda. Thank you for joining us.
Our very own Julia Haley is here to tell us about something that you probably don't even need to hear about. And that is that it's hot.
Yeah, I hear there's extreme weather all around the country, and there's a chance we might hit record highs in our area later this week.
Yes, Loren, we've been close to hitting record highs, but not quite yet. But if you take a look outside in Yosemite National Park in California, currently seeing that snow roll down as we saw Los Angeles had their first blizzard warning in 30 years. Crazy. Now, if you take a look at the United States, it is a severe weather day, seeing snow around Minnesota. We have some showers around Missouri and also a snowstorm toward the northeast for your Wednesday. And those temperatures staying in two different locations. We have a warm air mass and warm temperatures ranging in the 100-degree mark. So 90 degrees in San Antonio, Texas, and even -9 degrees in North Dakota. Now, if you take a look outside, those highs staying in the 80s overall.
Thanks, Julia. So while we're on the subject of weather, I hear my name could be the name of a hurricane this season, obviously staying popular as per usual.
I heard about that too. Do you think Loren with an O would be a hurricane name this season, Julia?
Well, not yet, but hopefully sometime soon, Loren. Our hurricane names for this year, we have 21 names overall announced by the World Meteorological Organization. And these names range from anything like Arlene to even Emily, one of our anchors, also Ophelia, one of our anchors. Now, overall, you want to make sure that you are prepared for hurricane season. It is never too early to start preparing for this season on May 15th. Back to you.
Thanks again, Julia. Now in some breaking news, a stretch of I-75 in Marion County is closed after a tractor trailer hit an overpass. It's been a nightmare for drivers trying to pass through that area today, with cars and trucks stopped for miles and miles. The Florida Highway Patrol says a tractor trailer carrying an oversized load hit the Southwest 66th Street overpass near Ocala. Concrete chunks and other debris rained down on the trucks and the interstate. All northbound lanes have been closed all day. Traffic on the south side has been at a crawl for hours. FHP says the lanes will probably not reopen until early evening.
Terrell Bradley is requesting a settlement from the City of Gainesville for injuries sustained after a K-9 mauling. The City of Gainesville City Manager Cynthia Curry received a letter yesterday from Terrell Bradley's representative containing $2,500 worth of hospital expenses. The bills covered treatment for the attack, which caused him to lose sight in his right eye, break several bones, and suffer spinal fluid leakage. Bradley's representative Gregory Durden called the attack unprovoked, excessive, and unnecessary in the letter. Durden requested a settlement discussion with the city to reach a mutual resolution. Bradley's next hearing is scheduled for March 14th.
Unless the U.S. Supreme Court intervenes, Florida will conduct an execution tomorrow, the first since the COVID-19 pandemic. The state Supreme Court ruled last week that Donald Dilbeck's death sentence can be carried out. His lawyers claim Dilbeck has the equivalent of a brain disorder from his mom drinking during pregnancy. Dilbeck was serving life for the 1979 shooting of a deputy while he ran off from a 1990 work assignment and stabbed a woman during an attempted carjacking. The judge and jury gave him a death sentence for the second murder. We'll be covering it on First at 5 tomorrow night, so stay tuned.
Members of the public can soon weigh in on Alachua County social studies textbooks. Parents and community members will be able to review and give feedback during 4 upcoming meetings. There will be 2 separate ways to evaluate the criteria. Feedback will be collected through numerical ratings and specific community comments. ACPS curriculum specialist John Rem encourages community members to attend any of the 4 meetings and share their opinions.
We'd love to see as many parents and community members come and give their feedback. The more feedback we get, the better textbook we can make sure and get for all the students in Alachua County schools.
The first meeting will take place at the ACPS district office tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and future meetings will take place on February 27th, February 28th, and March 1st.
So it's official, Buc-ee's is coming to Ocala. Marion County Commissioners unanimously approved construction of one of the famous truck stops. Buc-ee's, a Texas-based gas station, is no ordinary one. In addition to the usual convenience store snacks, the travel center serves hot food including breakfast, brisket, and its signature sweet corn puff snacks, beaver nuggets. The Marion County Board of County Commissioners voted to change the zoning from agriculture to planned urban development at a portion of the Baldwin Angus Ranch. About 33 acres of the land near County Road 326 and I-75 would make way for a new Buc-ee's location. The Ocala location would be the third Buc-ee's to open in Florida. The first store opened in St. Augustine in 2021 and Daytona Beach the following month. However, the Marion County Commission is telling us that it likely won't be until after 2025 when the location would officially open. And now there is one other interesting fact about Buc-ee's. The stores are also known for their award-winning clean bathrooms. So when it does arrive in Ocala, we'll see what kinds of awards this location will hold. And now they don't have Buc-ee's where I come from, but let me tell you, I got the opportunity to go to one for the first time last semester, and let's just say it was an experience and a good one at that.
It's definitely life-changing. I've always been a Wawa girl, but nothing can beat Buc-ee's.
Well, later I've got another positive story for you, one that I've been working on for quite a while, about a legendary person from my hometown who won't let anything hold him back.
But first, a NASA crew has arrived at Kennedy Space Center ahead of a 6-month-long mission after a delay this weekend. We'll tell you more about that and what the mission's agenda entails, along with more news from around the state when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. Now, for some news from around the state. FWC released the name of an elderly woman killed by an alligator while walking her dog. The attack happened Monday at the Spanish Lakes Fairway subdivision near Fort Pierce. 85-year-old Gloria Surge died while saving her small dog from an 11-foot gator. But instead of taking the dog, the alligator latched onto her foot and pulled her under. Trappers came in later to remove the gator, which weighed more than 600 pounds. And over in Clearwater, 2 of the fire department's paramedics are suspended for a cardiac arrest call where they prematurely declared a man dead on the scene. His daughter says she had tried CPR and was told, "I'm sorry, ma'am, he's gone." A deputy later discovered the man was still breathing and had him rushed to a hospital, where he remains in intensive care.
The 4 astronauts who will soon be blasting off to the International Space Station have arrived at Kennedy Space Center. They were first set to launch this weekend, but their launch has been delayed until Monday due to work that still needs to be done on the SpaceX Dragon capsule. The crew is commanded and piloted by NASA astronauts, but it also includes a Russian cosmonaut and an astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. They say their 6-month mission will involve hundreds of scientific studies, including a spacewalk designed to sample material on the outside of the space station. And I know how much the weather can affect these launches, Julia. With the way it's been outside, though, it doesn't seem like they'll have much trouble, does it?
Yeah, well, it has been a little windy lately, which could affect the launch overall. A stationary front could cause more winds to occur. I'll let you know how this front will affect your end-of-week plans in a few minutes.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Currently tracking severe weather all over the United States, starting with a snowstorm nearing the northeast. We also have showers around Missouri, and Los Angeles actually announced its first blizzard warning in 30 years, which means a lot of snow for the area around California. And around California, Yosemite National Park seeing all of that snow. Now take a look at this. This isn't something that you normally see here in Florida, but in Yosemite, currently seeing all of that snow and just almost looking foggy outside as well. But here in Gainesville, really seeing that sun shine through. 83 degrees outside with that sun. Those southeastern temperatures staying in the 80s and the 70s overall, and a little humid too, so you might feel a little sweaty as those dew points stay in the 60s, especially here in Florida. Now, if you don't like hot weather, this is definitely a time to stay indoors, but if you do and you like sunny weather as well, this is a time to go outside. Those southwesterly winds bringing that heat as well. Now, for your baseball game this evening, Florida versus South Florida, if you're going to see that first pitch, it's going to be around 79 degrees. It's a great day to play ball. Staying warm overall, though, with those lows dropping into the 60s. And Thursday morning, those lows staying, but we also have some dense fog creeping through as well. That dense fog is going to make our visibility very low around 7 and 8 a.m. So if you are making your way to work, it may be a little hard, so you do want to take those precautions. Those highs are staying in the mid 80s overall. Perfect days to go outside, especially for your Thursday, sitting in the mid 80s, 84 for Gainesville and Ocala. Those southwesterly winds still bringing the warmth of the Gulf to our area. This high pressure system as well, keeping that warmth going throughout these next couple of days, in the sun as well. Now, this stationary front is going to make its way southward, and we're going to have some showers just north of I-10. Now, we do have a polar and tropical divide overall, seeing very hot and very warm temperatures throughout the southeast and even the northwest, and the jet stream in between is helping to divide the two. We do have a range of about 100 degrees for your Thursday and even your Wednesday. Now, for your pollen forecast, we are feeling a little under the weather because the pollen and allergens are going to last throughout these next couple of days, as we do have that tree pollen sitting at a high, ragweed pollen staying throughout the week. You do want to have your allergy meds handy, especially if you are someone who is allergic to these allergens. Dense fog overall, showers north of I-10, and those highs are going to stay in the 80s for the rest of your week. Check out that dense fog for Thursday and Friday, those highs staying in the mid 80s with sunny skies due to that high pressure. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. So now for a story to warm your heart and fuel your drive. I'm taking you to my hometown of Long Island, New York, to tell you the story of a local legend. He makes no excuses, overcoming obstacles on his path to success.
A lot of people just want to get by. They just want to live. They just want to, exist. But you gotta get the most out of life. You really have to strive. Can't be satisfied with just being average.
The word average is just not part of Rohan Murphy's vocabulary. The 120-pound, 38-year-old benches 350 pounds. That's 3 times his body weight. His passion for fitness, unwavering.
It's a habit that I can't break.
Despite assumptions based on his appearance.
Not having legs it's a pretty big deal, I'm not gonna lie. But I've never viewed it like that. I've always just used that motivation and try to really excel in life. I just always want to prove people wrong.
And that motivation pinned the 3.5-foot tall athlete to his purpose. He always yearned to be part of an athletic team.
When you don't have legs, you can't play too many sports, like a travel soccer, Little League baseball.
It wasn't until the 8th grade that Rohan's physical education teacher led him to the mat. Wrestling filled that void for him.
I'm a true believer in the 4 P's of life. The 4 P's of life: purpose, passion, pride, perspective.
Rohan fell in love with the sport.
It became my passion, became my purpose.
He put extra time into learning how to do what people with legs can do, only better. He learned to adapt, and it paid off.
It just goes to show you that if you really put in that extra time, put in a little extra love and passion for something, you're gonna get great results.
He learned to live life despite obstacles on and off the mat.
Whether it's driving a car, going grocery shopping.
Rohan adapted to do stuff that most people
probably take for granted with legs.
This tenacious mindset led him to a spot on the varsity wrestling team.
I'll never forget that first match. I lost the match 2-1.
A loss that provided extra motivation and ultimately led to success.
It was a win in life. It proved to people that despite not having legs, that I could really go out there, I can compete against kids with legs, and I could do just fine. Finally, for the first time in my life, I had some pride in myself. I was proud of who I was.
And he took that drive from the mat to the stage. After his wrestling career at Penn State University, Rohan pursued a career in motivational speaking, finding strength in the gym and in his words.
After kids hear my story at schools, they kind of say to themselves, my life isn't that difficult. Maybe I should stop complaining.
Rohan travels to schools all over the U.S. sharing the highs and lows of his story. In this crowd, 8th grader Brandon Garcia.
I make excuses sometimes, but after this, I'm gonna stop making excuses and just work as hard as I can to become a better football player.
Rohan provides perspective.
That's the most important thing that I give kids, a different outlook on life.
7th grade Jarvey Wilson was ready for a new perspective.
You should never take anything for granted that because other people have some stuff going on that you don't know about in life.
Don't take for granted the chance to work hard, even with excuses within reach.
No excuses to me means going after your goals, trying to reach your dreams, and not letting anything stop you, not letting anything hold you back in life.
He inspires others to do the same along the way.
In life, just because you're dealt a bad hand like I was with not having legs, you don't have to fold. You don't have to give up.
And you don't just have to get by. Strive for success. Work to get your pin just like Rohan. On Long Island, Emily Palazzotto, WUFT News. Rohan's next dream is to give a motivational speech in each U.S. state, and he only has 8 left until he can check that dream off of his bucket list.
Yeah, Emily, it's always great to see people inspiring and motivating the youth in sports. And motivation is actually something that Hawthorne will have to look to maintain as both the boys and girls basketball teams are moving on to the state semifinals. I'll tell you how both Hawthorne teams got to this point and more when we come back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back to sports. I'm Jensen Young. The Gator football staff continues to change, now with the departure of defensive coordinator Patrick Toney. Toney was with the Gators for just 1 season, coming onto the staff at the same time as head coach Billy Napier, who he coached with at Louisiana. During his one and only season with Florida, the Gators went 6-6 in the regular season, making it to the Las Vegas Bowl. Toney will make the jump to the pros, joining the Arizona Cardinals staff as a defensive assistant. Toney's wife posted to Twitter this morning saying how the two are, quote, excited for new adventures. Florida has already found his replacement in Alabama assistant Austin Armstrong. Toney is not the only one leaving the coaching staff for the NFL, however, as tight end coach William Peagler is also on the move, joining the Cardinals as well. Over on the diamond, the Gators take the field today against USF for the second of a 2-game set. The Gators beat the Bulls in Tampa yesterday 6-1, scoring 4 runs in the 9th inning to close out what was a tight game all night. And with that result, the Gators are now undefeated at 4-0 entering tonight's game, while the Bulls are just 1-3. So far this season, the Gators have cruised to 4 easy victories. Florida is outscoring opponents by a combined 43-6 this season. In the last game against USF, 4 Gators hit home runs en route to the win. Ty Evans and BT Ryopel are leading the way with their bats as both of them have recorded 7 hits this season. The Gator pitching has been lights out, allowing their opponents to a batting average of just 115. First pitch tonight is at 6. And finishing off the slate of Gator sports, the men's basketball team hits the court tonight, hosting the Kentucky Wildcats. WUFT's Chris Will joins us live from the O-Dome. Chris, what can we look forward to in tonight's game?
Well, Jensen, the only guarantee I have for tonight's game is that basketball will be played on the court behind me, but Colin Castleton won't be a part of it for the Gators. When these two teams met just 2.5 weeks ago, Colin Castleton put together a game-high 25 points. But now the Gators have to look to fill a major hole in their production. The last time the Gators took the floor, Colin Castleton was out with a broken hand, and the struggles were quite clear. Florida lost to the Arkansas Razorbacks by 19, but the Gators starting big on the sideline, Jason Chitobo and Alex Shimchick combined for 44 minutes on the court, but it only resulted in 12 combined points. That loss put the Gators at 500 in the conference and 14-13 overall, with 4 regular season games remaining. Now, the Gators are certainly on the outside of postseason play looking in, but a win tonight would be quite critical to any tournament hopes they may have. Tip-off for tonight's game is set for 7 p.m. I'm live in the O-Dome. Chris Will, WFT Sports. Back to you, Jensen.
Thanks, Chris. Staying on the hardwood, we now move to the high school playoffs, where the boys' regional tournaments are coming to a close. One regional that finished last night was between Hawthorne and Newberry. The Hawthorne Hornets beat the Panthers in exciting fashion. CJ Ingram shined, making many baskets in front of a packed house. Skipping right to the end of the fourth quarter, Newberry's Logan McLeod hits 2 free throws to tie the game up at 41 apiece. And with the clock winding down, Newberry tries to hold on to the ball for the final shot, but a mishandle and a foul gets Hawthorne on the line with seconds remaining, only to miss it. It did not matter though, because Ingram got the rebound and the foul for a second chance at the line. And with ice in his veins, Ingram sinks both free throws and sends the Hornets to the state semifinal. We caught up with Ingram after the game to see what was in his head as he stepped up to the line to ice the game.
No thoughts, just leading my team to Lakeland again. We was in the same position last year, so I've been down this road before, and we're going to Lakeland to work this year.
The Hornets have a week until their Class 1A state semifinal on March 1st against Williston. For other local high school hoops teams still alive, they move on to their regional finals on Friday. Santa Fe beat Cocoa 60-38 and will take on the Villages Charter in Class 4A. Columbia beat Booker T. Washington 69-55 and plays Mainland in 5A. And Gainesville beat Oakley 47-42 and plays Ponte Vedra in Class 6A. And the Hawthorne girls basketball team is also playing for a state championship. The Hornets play in the Class 1A state semifinal tonight, taking on Ponce de Leon. The winner moves on to the state final to play the winner of Wildwood and Graceville, which also takes place tonight.
Thanks, Jensen. And finally, Gainesville Elementary School students are bringing Black history to life with a live wax museum. Students at Stephen Foster Elementary School each represented a Black history figure in a wax museum presentation. They spoke as the famous person they represented, and some even wore costumes. Families attended the presentation to see what their students learned. Third grade teacher Andres Carrera said this activity helps students learn the significance of Black history.
The importance of doing the Wax Museum during Black History Month is so that the students can understand the representation that the historical Black figures have on their own personal lives.
Presented in the Living Wax Museum included Beyonce, Oprah, and Michael Jordan.
Before we go, let's take one last check on the weather.
Loren, Emily, it is a great evening to get outside, maybe even go to that Gators versus Bulls baseball game. Staying sunny, warm and clear overall with those lows dropping into the low 60s. Now take a look at your 6-day. We have fog for your Thursday and Friday. We are staying in the mid 80s overall with that sun not breaking any records quite yet. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. And BBC World News is next, and PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
For live updates hour by hour, you can always listen to WUFT 89.1, 90.1 NPR News and Talk, or follow us on social media at WUFT News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.